What's up guys, Asian here again with another Trials boss video, and today we're going to be going over the Archcustodian, which is the third boss of Halls of Fabrication. A lot of people think that the Archcustodian is going to be a really easy boss. They've done it on normal and it's pretty much a pushover. However, it can actually be quite deceptively difficult depending on your specific group. So I've seen some groups not being able to get past the Archcustodian even though they're able to get past the Pinnacle Factotum and the Hunter Killers. So despite the fact that it has a reputation of being an easy boss, it only has 20.7 million health, much lower health than the remaining other bosses. Don't be fooled. Make sure to keep on your toes. This is definitely a boss that you don't necessarily want to, necessarily get complacent on, because you can very easily wipe on this boss over and over and over again if you guys aren't able to kind of pick things up and get the mechanics and the general dance down of this fight. So this is a Mayflower run here. So we're just going to go through this fight here and kind of voice over what we're seeing here. So right now we're at the very end. So when you again defeat the Pinnacle Factotum, you'll go up a portal into this next room here. It's basically a giant circle. Generally speaking, depending on your group DPS, you might want one tank to go to the right, pick off a couple of the spiders, and then run back over to the left, and everybody meet on that last octagon before the boss itself, and then kill all the spiders. Or if you feel confident enough in your DPS, you'll be able to get it by the 6th pylon, 6th sun phase. Then you could everybody just run straight to the left and just kill all the spiders on that last octagon. So there's the octagon right here before the spider boss. That's not the octagon that I'm talking about. Let's go back a little bit. So this is the octagon right here. Let me see if I can get a better angle of it. So you can see that's where the boss spawns. That's where the boss is. This is the last octagon where you're going to stay. You can see these blades are all over the arena. If you guys have done Maelstrom Arena on stage 2, very similar. They'll run along these tracks here. So this blade here, for example, will follow this track here if you guys are following my cursor down. So these blades, there's going to be one that circles the octagon. As you can see here, there's a track around the octagon. It might be hard to see with all the effects going on. But if you stand pretty much right smack dab in the middle, you will not take any damage from the spinning blade. So that's where you would want to stand there. These are obviously not good for you. They'll sap your magic and they will also damage you. So you obviously don't want to step into here at all. It is survivable. You can just walk right through it, but I would recommend not doing it. There's really no reason to do so anyways. Now, one thing I will caution here, if you are using Alkosh, just be careful of where you position the proc, because if you use Alkosh and it goes down this way, during the actual boss fight there will be ads that spawn right here. And the way Zos has them coded is that they're not actually not there, they're actually just underground. And if you shoot a Alkosh proc this way and manage to hit one of them, it'll actually aggro them, and then they'll just basically be underneath the ground here, underneath the map, basically following you around, and that can screw up your first pull. So just be mindful if you are wearing Alkosh, any of the tanks, just to not point the Alkosh proc over towards this direction right here. So you're just going to kill all these spiders, and then just hopefully not wipe. I've seen groups wipe to these spiders before because they do get charged, kind of like an empowered, and when they die they explode. So if you have like 4 or 5 of them exploding all at once, it's very easy to wipe. So just be mindful of where everybody is and make sure your healers still have heals going on here. Now, before we continue to move on, I just want to point out all the environmental damage and how you can kind of avoid that. So you can see here that there is the blades that spin around each octagon. There's octagons all around the arena, so there's kind of like one octagon, then there's like these 2 blades here, and then you have the next octagon, so it keeps on going like that down the row. So you always have the blade that's spinning around one octagon. It can be going fast or slow. There's really there's not really much of a pattern behind it. However, the 2 blades that are between the octagons, there is a pattern behind it. So in this scenario here, if we go ahead and hit play, you can see that one of the blades moves more slowly than the other blade. And you can see the same thing here. This blade over here is moving quicker than that blade right there. So during the fight, and you'll see it when we go over the actual boss fight, you'll be moving down along this path here, basically. And so you kind of want to make sure that you aren't getting caught between both blades. So generally what most groups do is you stay on the side of the corridor here that has the faster moving blade. So in this instance, as we're moving back after we get the first pylon stun, everybody would move back on this side of the corridor, so right hand side if you're running away from the boss, or left hand if you're running towards the boss. And then for the first pull, everybody would be standing on the left hand side if you're facing the boss. So once we turn around here, I'll be able to show you exactly what I mean here. Let's just wait till we turn around. Alright, so you can see here, this blade here is spinning faster, so we would be on the right side of the arena. So most people generally use this side as right, so close, and then outside would be left. I've also heard inside and outside. You can use whatever terminology works best for you and your group. So it does alternate. So for example, if you're on the inside fast, then the next pylon is going to be outside fast, and then so on and so forth. So you're basically bouncing back and forth between the two of them. Now, the way the tanks work is going to be one tank is basically going to be the debuff bitch. You're basically going to be standing right by the boss. Use Alkosh, use Torox, use whatever you got to do to debuff everything, engulfing flames, the whole 9 yards. The other tank, which is what I'm going to show you here, the off tank basically, they're going to basically control the ads and bring the ads back. So why don't we go ahead and play up to the fight here, up to the first stun phase here. So when you guys kill all the spiders, the boss is over here, is attached to the door. One of the tanks or somebody really is just going to run over here and grab the attention of the boss. The boss is going to start walking over. As you can see here, he just starts walking over. Obviously, you can tell the shield is not good, it'll hit you. The flames are not good, it'll hit you. So you don't want to get underneath the boss. So let me see if I can get a better angle. So there's a button right here, you can see right next to Bear Grub, which is the main tank here. So when you push this button, there will be a lightning sparks between these two conduit ball things, and that basically stuns the boss. The lightning charge actually doesn't hurt you, so you can walk right through it. It's perfectly fine to walk right through it, but it will stun the boss. It removes the shield. While it has the shield up, it's basically invincible. So once the boss is stunned, everybody just drops your ultimates, go all ham on the boss. You can see here that the way where we're positioned right now is kind of good, kind of not. It really depends on how many War Machines you have in group and Master Architects. Because obviously you want War Machine and Master Architect, you want your Major Slayer to go on your stamina DPS because they have generally have higher single target DPS, and you want your Magic DPS to not necessarily get that Major Slayer. So what we have here is we have a setup where Sycamore here has War Machine, so the stamina DPS are lining up on the left side to make sure they get the Major Slayer, and then the Magicka is on the right side. But if you don't want to coordinate that much, then you can pretty much stack everybody on the right side here, so that way you're only getting hit by this one blade. You can see here there's kind of an overlap in the middle here where you'll get hit by both blades. And so you'd obviously want to avoid getting hit by both blades there. So that's basically what happens. This stun, everybody just DPSes the boss as quickly as you can. Healers are obviously healing. Now the off tank here, you're going to kind of hang out right over here. So basically, you have the button, everybody DPSs at the button. The off tank will blow the horn if you have to blow the horn, and then you run back here to the next octagon, and you're going to basically wait right by these two shock pylons. And this is where the ads are going to spawn. So there's two types of ads that can spawn. There's a dual wield ad, and then there's a two-hander ad. The two-hander is will have a steam breath that will be in front of them, and it'll put a slow on you, so you just want to kind of sidestep that. And the two-hander, or not the two-hander, the dual wield will put a bleed on you. Both of them can use chains to pull you in, so make sure you block that, so that way you aren't pulled back towards the group, because the group will be running away from the boss. If the ads get too close to the boss while the boss has the shield up, they'll become empowered, and it really, really hurts. They get a shield, all their attacks just hit a lot harder, and if you have a dual wield, just forget about it. The bleed is too much for even the best healers to heal you through. So just make sure that you're running well ahead of the boss here. So go ahead and move ahead here. So you have about 10 seconds or so to DPS the boss, and then the ad spawn. You can see here, you take the boss and you basically run him back over here. You do want him to be further away from the little shock things, because again, you don't want him to get empowered. So that's the steam breath. You're going to want to sidestep that, and that's the dual wields with the blood loss. So you just want to, everyone DPS the ads down and try to kill the ads before they get to the stun boss. You'll see here we call boss, and then we move over to the boss. Now if the ads are still alive, the off tank's just going to run behind the boss, make sure the ads are dying to cleave. You definitely do not want any ads alive between pulls here. So again, I'm running back here to pick up the two ads. This time we had two-handers. I wasn't quite paying attention to my magicka here. So normally we would go on the right side. I completely blanked here, and you can see I sidestepped the breath. This is a little bit too close. They're a little bit close here. And then we stun the boss. You can see here, one of them is still alive, so we end up bringing him over to die to cleave against the boss there. And then we just basically rinse and repeat the whole time. So basically just keep bringing the adds back. You see here, that's the chain I'm talking about. You want to avoid, you want to block or to make sure you're not getting hit by the chain, because if they do get close to that boss, they will get that shield on them. And DPS, obviously, you don't want to stand behind where the tank is, just because you want to avoid that steam breath. And you can see here, we're bringing the adds over, we're trying to get the adds over as quickly as we can so they die to the cleave. So again, it's very important that we get the adds down before the boss gets back up. Yep, so in this situation, depends on the raid lead, so we have 20% health left and we have enough DPS to kind of go through it. So basically what we do is we, at that point, we basically bring the adds away all the way back. The DPS don't have to worry about the adds, and the DPS can just focus on killing the boss there. So that is basically the entire fight. Again, it is trickier than it seems very easy right now because we're very used to this fight. We're very experienced with this fight. But for newer guilds, this fight can be deceptively difficult, particularly because the biggest problem that I see is groups don't have enough DPS to burn the adds down before the next stun phase. So if you're in that situation where the adds are still alive when the boss is out of the stun, what you can do is you can skip a button. You don't want to go too far ahead. If you go too far ahead, then the boss will actually start raining lightning on you. So you don't want to run too far ahead. But basically what you do is you take the adds, you run to the button, you wait for everyone to catch up, you do a little bit DPS, then you run to the next button, and you hit the second button, so basically you're skipping a button. And that'll give you enough time to kill the adds and basically have a clean slate for that next stun phase. So if you're in that situation where your DPS, your group DPS is not quite high enough to kill all the adds before the boss gets up, that's something you can consider doing. You can basically skip a button in order to kill the adds. So for every single stun, the spider gets faster and faster, so that's kind of why you have less and less time to take care of the adds. So it's really important to basically make the most out of that stun phase, make the most out of that 10 seconds in order to DPS the boss as quickly as you can. Most groups are able to get it down between 4 to 6 pylon stuns. The best groups like Mechanically Challenged are able to get them down potentially by 3 pylon stuns. But if you're able to get up to 6 or 7, that's a pretty good spot to be in terms of DPS. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll try to get back to them as quickly as I can. Hope you found this video informative, and I will see you guys at the next boss.